All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Department Podcast. I am Stephen Bologna, and before you get confused about who I'm with today, it's the Willie P. Hockey crew. You've seen Joe Monroig before, you've seen Josh Tritini on this podcast, or Stephen Mulder, first time ever joining us on the podcast. But again, it's time for the puck to drop, the skates to hit the ice, and the pucks to the back of the net. It's hockey season, and this is the crew that's going to be breaking down hopefully every couple of weeks during the NHL season on the podcast. We have a lot to get to today. Season starts January 13th. So we are however many days away from that, about a week. We have new divisions this year. No bubble, but is there a bubble?
No.
Right?
No.
No bubble. But less games, only playing 56 games this year. So it's going to be a hell of a season. But first off, how you guys doing today?
Feeling good. USA won, so I'm excited.
USA
win over
winning the World
Canada.
Juniors. Very
They
impressive.
won the World Juniors. They beat Canada 2-0.
Monroy, you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good.
All right, cool. Mulder, we're all good?
Yeah, man.
All right, awesome. Well, listen, let's dive right into it. So it's going to be a 56-game season. Now, we saw the NFL not do a bubble, but we saw the NBA do a bubble. Do you think the NHL should have tried to do a bubble this year, or do you think it's going to be safe with the way they want to go with things?
Go ahead, Josh.
The NHL, we did the bubble. I know we did it for the playoffs for the 24 teams, and it worked out pretty well. I do believe the bubble is a safe choice, but I know that the NHL is very strict with their guidelines. These players, they're smart. They're not idiots who will go out to say strip clubs like certain people do while even in a bubble. So I think even if you bubble them, there's still some causes of concerns that you have to look out for with your players. But I think the NHL players really want to get the season done. They shortened down to 56 with these new divisions, and they made it so that there's less travel right now for these teams. So I think that it's going to be fine. I don't think we're going to see too many problems going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with Josh saying. I mean, does a bubble help? Yeah, of course. Obviously, it limits the spread of COVID, and everybody's in a safe sanctuary area. Not like I said, not too much traveling. It limits a lot of travel, costs money as well because everyone's in that one area. But I think they'll be okay. Just stick to the rules, put up those strong restrictions, and I think if everyone does their job, the team, the coaches, and they stay healthy, everything should be good, and the season should go as planned.
Yeah, and you look at it as a lot of people just look at it as these people are athletes, and they forget that there's a person side to these people. If you bubble, now you're pulling people away from their families for 3-4 months, and you're not even winning. You're not even going for the Stanley Cup. You're playing 56 regular season hockey games, and with the divisions being so close together, with limited travel, and I'm sure there's rapid testing going on everywhere throughout the league.
Right.
There's a real easy way to minimize exposure that's going on throughout the league.
It's also a little harder, too, when you think about it. Like an NBA roster is usually around 14 top men at most, including reserves.
Yeah.
In hockey, you're going to have anywhere up to close to 30 players. So to bubble all those players for 31 NHL teams, that's a little tough.
Exactly. Listen, there's going to be cases, most likely, no matter what, in any sport.
They'll probably come up. Yeah, absolutely.
But we saw the NHL bubble last year, and that was like all the hype was on the NBA bubble, but the NHL bubble was good. I mean, I don't think there was like rarely any cases.
No,
which was
I don't think there was any.
Exactly, which is huge.
Yeah, very few, which is successful.
NHL doesn't get the credit it deserves with that, but
I saw that the NHL was reportedly trying to buy a crap ton of the vaccine to give to its players. I don't know how true that was. They were trying to privately buy the vaccine.
I don't know if that ever happened.
I don't know, that would have been awesome though. That's smart.
Yeah, it would have.
But like you said, Josh, there's going to be limited travel this year. So I want to go over the new realigned divisions and the new names. The NHL, I think last night, sold the naming rights to each division. So I'm going to go through really quickly. So the Scotia NHL North Division will have the Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators, Montreal Canadiens, and the Winnipeg Jets. Those are the boys up north.
it's all the Canadian teams. They don't want to come to America.
I know. That's smart, though. It's smart to
It
limit country travel.
More or less, they don't want us going over there.
That's also
I think that's the bigger thing.
It's the big
That's the bigger issue.
The Honda NHL West Division. This is going to be our West Coast teams. Anaheim Ducks, the Coyotes, Colorado Avalanche, Los Angeles Kings, Minnesota Wild, San Jose Sharks, St. Louis Blues, and the Vegas Golden Knights. That's a pretty stacked division, if I do say so myself. The Discover NHL Central Division, that'll have the Carolina Hurricanes, Chicago Blackhawks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, Florida Panthers, Nashville Predators, and the Tampa Bay Lightning. And our favorite division, the Mass Mutual NHL East Division, the Boston Bruins, Buffalo Sabres, New Jersey Devils, New York Islanders and Rangers, Philadelphia Flyers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Washington Capitals. So I like the idea of the division alignment. I think this is smart.
I think it's smart because now you could see if you kind of pay attention to where they're located, it is very limited with the travel. But I'm going back to the point why you said why they're making it all these different sponsors. NHL thrives on our revenue. They need fans, and they're not going to have that many fans. I know like the Rangers are saying we're not going to have any fans for a couple weeks, and certain teams aren't going to, but they thrive on all our revenue. So right now what they're going to do this year is sell their naming rights for the division to get some money. And you're going to see also this year a lot of sponsors will be on the team's helmets. So if already I know the Penguins have theirs, the Rangers have theirs already. You're just going to see a lot of different things with sponsors this year at the teams.
Yes, revenue is going to be huge. Like I said, COVID really took a lot of revenue out on many sports, and especially hockey. And hockey needs the fans, they need the ratings, and with those sponsors, they're doing as well advertising. You're gonna probably get that money back that they lost. And I think for division wise, it's gonna be really fun. It's really interesting as well to see certain teams in certain divisions, and especially how they did it geographically. So it's gonna be really fun and really competitive as well.
Yeah, you got to remember the NHL isn't like the NFL where you got national televised games every week. You're making your money from Fox and all the commercials. These you're playing on MSG, you're playing on Fox Sports West. Like you're not playing for a national audience.
Right.
So it's more like the MLB where you make a lot of your money's coming from the gate and from people sitting in the seats. You're not making the money off of the advertisements. But my biggest fear is that I don't want the rink to land up like it is in Europe, where you have ads all over the place.
1,000 ads.
No,
yeah,
you'll be fine with that. I don't
They
think
got
that's
ads on the ice.
yeah, like in the face-off circles and everything.
Yeah,
that's my biggest
No,
fear. I don't
got
want
ads everywhere.
Right by the blue line normally at best, but that's probably the worst you're going to see.
So I want to go through now. We'll go through all four divisions, and I want to hear your favorite or your prediction to win that division. I just want to go through the odds. The East Division, the Bruins are plus 250 to win that one. The Central, Tampa Bay Lightning, big favorite to win that one. The North, the Maple Leafs, another huge favorite. And the West Division is a massive favorite on the Colorado Avalanche. So let's start with our favorite division. Give me your prediction for the East.
So I'm a toss-up right now. I think this is one of the toughest divisions right now in the league. I mean, if you just look through it, you have the Capitals, you have the Bruins, you have the Flyers, you have the Islanders. I mean, right off the bat,
Devils. Wow.
I wouldn't go the Devils there. I wouldn't even go that far. But right off the bat, you have those four solid teams, and then the Rangers, the Devils, and I think the Sabres will be at your bottom for now. Like the Rangers are one of the youngest teams in the league. I think their average age is 25 years old. And, they have a lot of prospects. They need a little time to develop, and this division is going to be too hard for them. If I had to pick a winner, I'm going to go with not saying be the odd one out, but it'll be the Flyers.
Interesting.
Flyers would be my pick. They're talented. What they did last year, they were hot until COVID hit, and then they took a break. I think the Flyers would just get back on that train and get hot again.
Yeah, I mean, the East is basically almost like the Metropolitan. The only addition is the Bruins and the Sabres, but, adding those two teams from the original Atlantic Division, it still adds more competition, and it's going to be a really tough division battle out. Like I said, the Cap was really hot last year. The Bruins were hot last year. Even some of the teams that were started off in the bottom of the division, like the Rangers and Flyers, they came out hot before COVID came around and did pretty solid in the playoffs. But if I had to choose a winner here, I'm definitely going to go either with the Capitals or Bruins, but I'm favoring heavy Capitals. I think Ovechkin and them are just way too powerful and physical.
Mulder?
Yeah, you look at it as there's a lot of teams here, like you said, the New York Rangers. I think the New York Rangers are a year off, and playing a 56-game season isn't going to help them, but especially when you throw Boston and you throw Washington, who are basically guaranteed playoff teams. And the Capitals haven't added anything, and the only question I have with the Capitals now is their goaltending situation, because Holtby's gone. Lundqvist that they signed is now having surgery and he's
Open
sitting
heart
out the rest of the season. And I hate to do this, but I'm gonna go with the favorite, and I'm gonna pick Boston. They're a well-rounded hockey team. I think they're coming to the end of this like Boston Bruins reign of terror that they have up there, being consistently good at hockey, and I think they're gonna win this division.
So I am gonna say Boston, and I think Boston has so much talent on that team that really it's there's a reason why they're the favorite. But don't sleep on Buffalo. I think Buffalo may have the chance.
I don't know, man.
Steal
You're
this.
kind of pushing with that, I think.
Listen, I mean,
You're pushing a little bit too much.
Jack
Yeah.
Eichel, Taylor Hall, Eric Stahl.
Yeah.
I mean, the pieces are there. The players are there. If they can get Devils MVP Taylor Hall on the roster, you have Rasmus Dahlin. I think the pieces are there to make an upset run, not to win it all, but to steal the division. I think they're going to keep it close.
I don't know about that, only because of who they have. I mean, you have already said a Stanley Cup probably team in Boston. You have a hot team like the Flyers. You still have a good team like the Capitals. They just need to figure out their goaltending situation. You still have Penguins who are going to be fine. And then you have the Rangers, Devils, and the Sabres that are left.
So as of right now, obviously, it's crazy to say the Sabres, but the Sabres have the third highest odds to win this division, and anything can happen. This is going to be a weird year.
This is hockey.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
They can go on. They can win the first 25 out of 35 games, and here they are. It's a 56-game season. You just never know. But I think Buffalo is trending in the right direction, and getting Taylor Hall was huge.
That definitely helped with the Jack Eichel situation, because I know that it was a little weird over there with him in the Sabres organization, whether or not he was going to stay or not. I think this helps, but I think this season is going to be the biggest. If they do well, and like you said, if they could find their way to sneak their way into the playoffs and somehow miraculously take this division, I think Eichel would want to stay for a long time.
Yeah, that's their biggest problem is Eichel was. I think Eichel got to the point where it was give me somebody or I'm out, because he's been up in Buffalo. I think he's one of the more underrated people that you don't hear talked about, because the Buffalo Sabres don't do anything. And now they finally brought in Taylor Hall. I don't think bringing in Taylor Hall is going to give them the talent to outplay a team like the Capitals or Bruins, but you never know what could happen.
Listen, a Taylor Hall MVP brought the Devils to the playoffs. That's saying something.
Barely.
So they got in there. So you never know. But the Honda NHL West Division, the favorite to win that one, I have it right here, is the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are insanely favorited. And do we all see the Avalanche here?
I'm hammering.
Yeah,
Once I get to my
100%.
FanDuel account and they have those odds up, I'm hammering it.
They have it now. That's where I'm looking.
What is it? Minus what?
Plus 140. And the next
Plus 40?
Yes, and then the Wild are plus 950. So that's the gap between 1 and 2. Avalanche also favored to win the Stanley Cup.
I think the Avalanche are, without a doubt, your team to come out of that division. I will put everything I have. As long as injuries don't hurt them and screw them over, that's the team you want for the West.
Yeah, they really control their own destiny in that division. I mean, you look at that division, it's pretty obvious that they stand out of all those teams in there, especially with McKinnon, the way he played in the little bubble playoff on the Stanley Cup. You know, he has great seasons every year. So he's going to come out strong, and I think the Avalanche will definitely take the division easily.
Yeah, you look at the division, and it's Colorado, probably Vegas, and Minnesota. Your top 3 teams you're probably looking at in that division. Maybe you throw St. Louis in there, but
St.
I mean,
Louis
I don't
can't give up yet.
Yeah, I don't see Arizona tried last year. They got Taylor Hall, and then they fell apart after Taylor Hall joined the team. They fell apart, and they went from a wild card team to nothing.
Exactly.
And I think Colorado has the talent, as long as, like Josh said, as long as injuries don't come at them, Colorado can walk away with this division pretty easily.
Oh.
See, it's so hard to predict the NHL because 2 years ago you had the third worst team in the league with the Blues skyrocket and win it all. Last year, the Dallas Stars, really no one gave them any hype. They ended up making the Stanley Cup final. So that's the cool thing about hockey is you never know. It's so hard to predict.
I think Avalanche are going to be the team going to the Stanley Cup.
I think so as well. I want to agree with you there, Josh. Central Division, the odds for that one, I have them right here. Once it loads on me. And my computer is okay, here we go. We got it. Tampa Bay Lightning, are the favorite to win this one. Only one giving them some
Yeah,
competition
no.
seems to be the Blue Jackets.
There's two other teams that I'm looking at in that division, and it's the Stars, and I think the Hurricanes will be your top three. Will be the Lightning, Stars,
Not the
Hurricanes.
Blue Jackets?
Blue Jackets, I think, are within your top five. Blackhawks will probably be somewhere near the bottom. Red Wings will be somewhere near the bottom. Panthers will probably be not that far behind them. I know they're a good team, but again, this is a division where Lightning, Stars, and Hurricanes are going to be in it, and the Predators. So,
I mean,
I think it's going to be a fun division, but no one's taking this away from the Lightning.
yeah, I mean, listen. Oh, go ahead, my fault, Josh. Finish what you're saying.
No, I said no one's taking this from the Lightning. And then if anything, number 2 will be the Stars, and then I think 3 will be Hurricanes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Lightning and Stars, both teams play each other in the Stanley Cup. For the Stars, though, my perspective, you look at it, I mean, they're more of an older group of guys. I mean, and honestly, I look at their only best line they have is their first line with Seguin and Pavelski and
Jamie Benn.
Yeah. So that line was basically the only line they had, and that was really the line that produced the most scores in the Stanley when they played against the Lightning and throughout the whole playoffs as well. And for Lightning, I'm not really worried about them. Obviously, they don't have Nikita Kucherov. He's out basically for the whole entire season with an injury, but I think they're going to be okay. They're going to still win it, be the heavy favorite, and win that division.
Yeah, I think I agree with all of you. It's Tampa's division to lose, but I feel like if there's one team that could maybe battle them for that one spot, I think it's going to be the Carolina Hurricanes, because I think Carolina has that young talent. They were only behind them by 11 points last year, and I believe that was before they got into the bubble. So the talent's there, and the Dallas Stars had one line, and I think you saw in the Stanley Cup Finals that the one line can only get you so far.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to give this one to Tampa, as long as they don't get hit with the injury bug, they're still a super talented team. I think the Blue Jackets are a little overhyped. As we remember last year, they kind of blew it up, letting Bobrovsky walk and stuff like that, and they ended up making the bubble. So people are probably giving them a lot more credit than maybe they deserve. But I think I'm with you. I think the Hurricanes they have a lot of good pieces. I'm a big Sebastian Aho fan, as Josh knows.
I like him. Sebastian Aho, and I guess one of my favorites.
So we're going to have to see how this division plays out. And last but not least, we have our West division. Odds-on favorite to win. Oh, no, excuse me. The North. Are we doing North? Yes, North.
Canada teams.
Toronto Maple Leafs plus 140 to win this one. The Canucks. Edmonton Oilers actually right behind them at plus 420. I think the Maple Leafs are just so stacked, and
I had to give this to the Maple Leafs, or even Edmonton with McDavid and Draisaitl. Those two are just unfair to play with. It's like having the two goats on your team. So those guys will help carry Edmonton again. They have a well-balanced team, I think. But Toronto will probably take this division, and then if not, I think Edmonton will be a close second.
Yeah, I really like that they put all the Canadian teams together. Like me personally, I like the Canadian teams. If I had to choose a second team to like in NHL, it would definitely be the Edmonton Oilers. I actually have a jersey in my closet, Edmonton Oilers. But yeah, I mean, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, it's literally like the perfect dynamic duo. It's really incredibly hard to stop them when they're both on the ice together, and when they're both on point, it's unstoppable. It's basically a winning for the Oilers. But I look at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Remember, Josh, we did that show when Mike Babadoc got fired?
Yes.
And it was a Sportsnet show. And the problem with the Toronto Maple Leafs is, yes, you have Mitch Marner, you have Austin Matthews, and you have Jonathan Tavares. They're like the big three, right? It's like LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and D Wade, but over there in Toronto. But the problem for me with Toronto is they're not they start off good, or they're not really consistent, or they do make the playoffs. They're always first round exits. So like even if they win the division for me, I'm really worried to see if they're gonna make it far into the playoff. Because for the past 6 years, they've always lost in the first round. They've been early first round exits. So, and for the Oilers though, I don't know, man. I mean, they start off hot, but then they always fall apart. So that's my biggest disappointment with that team. So I'm really gonna have to go with the Canucks here. My heavy favorite, Quinn Hughes, and also Quinn Hughes and Elias Patterson. I think they're really going to carry this young Vancouver Canucks team.
I just don't see how the Canucks talent lines up with what's going on in Toronto right now.
I
which
think
is
that I think
why-
that Canadian. Sorry to cut you off. That division's
No, you're
too hard
good.
for the Canucks.
Yeah,
There's
And-
some. Yeah.
and the biggest problem with Edmonton is there's always all this hype around Edmonton. Remember, they had 3 first overall picks.
Mhm.
Now they have
They had
McDavid and
Taylor Hall.
Draisaitl clicking. Yeah, they traded him for 1 defenseman,
Yeah, they
which
traded
on their
him
end
to
was
the
not a good
Devils.
trade.
Yeah, bad trades right there. Both
But-
teams lost, in my opinion.
But the talent that's with Toronto on this roster right now is probably the most talented roster in the North Division. But the biggest problem with Toronto, like you said, Joe, is they get to the playoffs and they can't do anything about it. And then you have a team in Edmonton that makes the playoffs and then they fall apart because all of a sudden they have no goaltending, they have no defense, and McDavid and Draisaitl can only score so many goals until it falls back on the defense, which is why I give it to Toronto over Edmonton, because I think Toronto has a better defensive end and a goalie that can help them push through into winning the division.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers have to kind of be scared because if they lose this year, it seems that relationship with them and McDavid is starting to crumble a bit, and McDavid may want out. I don't know how true that is, but I think this is a team that should make the playoffs just based on these two, him and Draisaitl alone. But I think Toronto.
I think they should be in.
Toronto is just so stacked, and I'm such
they
an
look good
Austin
on
Matthews
paper. I 100% agree with you guys. They really do look good on paper. It's just when it comes to playoffs time, I need to see a difference and a change for them.
I think Austin Matthews just continues to grow and be a fantastic NHL player. But again, this is a team like Toronto that they're amazing favorites to win it all, and then they choke in the playoffs. You know, they got John Tavares, didn't do them any good. They didn't win anything, so they have to keep grinding. And time's running out on them too. Again, we've been hearing this for years that they're one more year, then they're going to be the best. We've not. But Joe, with the Canucks, I think they're one more year. I am going to say that.
I think
Very
that
young.
they have Hopi now back there, and they do have Demko, a good goalie in Vancouver. So they do have the goaltending there. Don't get you wrong, and they do have some young talent. It's just that again with these division changes, I think it makes it a little harder on them.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Okay, let's take a trip over to the East Coast. It's time. We're going to start off with you, Josh. We see that you're a Ranger fan from the back. Give me your expectations for the Rangers this season.
Wait, where do I start? Oh God, I can write a whole book on this now. So the New York Rangers are going to have a fun year, I think, for fans. I think they're going to show a lot of stuff, especially with Capocacco. He's going to be playing now, I think, on the second line is where they're going to have him with Panarin. So I think now you're going to see a breakout year. So everyone who's a Rangers fan, who thought Kakko was a bust because of last year, get that out of your head. This is going to be a good year for him. Alexi Lafreniere is going to be exactly what we think he's going to be. He's going to be playing on the third line. But again, that's only because of how much talent we have already on offense. With Panarin, we have Zibanejad, we have the Kreider. So don't worry. We'll be fine with this team. The only issue I have is the division.
Yes, I agree.
This division right now is going to be tough for them, and I think this is only going to build them. I think this year don't expect playoffs. I think this is the year where you're going to see what this team can do against these hard teams. Because you got to remember, there's going to be a stretch where we have to play the Devils 4 times in a row. There's going to be a week where we have to do that.
4 straight wins right there.
That's a crazy setup. When I saw that schedule, it was literally like 5 or 4 straight days in a row. I was like, that's insane.
Again, yeah, because there's going to be times where we have to play all these teams. I believe it's 8 times, if I'm not mistaken.
I am interested to see who the Rangers do go with that goalie. You could have Georgiev.
It's going to be Igor to start.
You think so?
Yeah.
Shesterkin?
Igor starting, Georgiev. The thing I'm most excited for, which I know we can't talk about until next year, but it's the next year's Rangers team. But
really interesting.
Absolutely.
We'll get to that in the next year preview pod.
I can go into all the dead cap that we got off our shoulders, how much money we're going to have, and then the team that we have.
Get rid of Chris Kreider.
Yeah.
So the captaincy, that's the biggest issue for now. All Ranger fans want to know who's going to be captain. Usually it's a tie right now between Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. Personally, I know some Ranger fans might feel a little bit weird about me saying this, but I give it to Zibanejad. I know Kreider's a veteran. He's been with us through it all. He just signed a 7-year deal. But Zibanejad has just been that player. that when he's on the ice, you know that he's going to be a difference maker. You know he's going to get you that goal. I mean, every Rangers fan remembers last year where he had that 5-goal game, which was insane. And he was hurt for some of that year. And he was almost averaging, I think, close to a point a game, or maybe just around over a point. Zibanejad, in my opinion, I know only has 2 years left on his contract, but I think you give him the captaincy and, get him a long-term deal starting next year with the dead cap that we have. You could re-sign him.
Yeah, I think this is a Rangers team that might be putting their offense is so good that they might be putting up 4 or 5 goals a game. That's probably very unrealistic, but listen, in reality, Mika Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin could have won MVP last season. You have Capo Caco. This is an offense that is fueled up, and they have a lot of big names. The defense, on the other hand, has kind of always been the problem.
So if the thing is about who the coach puts out there. Alain Vigneault was terrible in big game situations for putting the wrong defensive pair out there all the time. I like what Quinn is doing a lot. I think that he's the answer for now. This is going to be a good test for Quinn to see what he could do in these high-stake games.
Yeah, this is a Ranger team that is probably in another situation where this year might be a little too tough. Next season, though, might be their bread and butter. But we're going to have to see how the Rangers do. High expectations for them, for me and Josh at least. Let's take a trip to Newark, New Jersey. New Jersey Devils, Joe Monroig, Stephen Mulder, big fans of that one. Give me your thoughts in the upcoming year. What are your expectations?
You start off, Mulder.
Well, the only expectation I have for this team right now is you want to see the young talent grow. You hear Jack Hughes put on muscle. You want Nico Hischier to start stepping up more. You want to find that groove. You have Crawford. You want Blackwood to finally solidify himself as a goaltender in this league. And I think the biggest thing for Devils fans, because I know they hate the contract, is PK Subban needs to either step up or get out. And I think a lot of people are saying,
Vaughn told them?
Probably.
3 years down the drain.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is everyone's saying, oh, it's a revenge tour. It's a revenge tour. And you have the new coaching staff in there, which could help. I think it's better for the younger group of players. But if PK Subban doesn't figure out what's going on and start playing like the contract says he should be playing, I think you're going to see PK Subban get moved by Tom Fitzgerald at some point this year, especially with a team that's not competing for anything this year.
It's going to be tough to move him, I think.
Yeah, nobody wants the contract. That's the biggest problem.
It's going to be very tough.
I mean, for the Devils, like I say, it's been the past couple of years it's been the same thing. It's the same story every season, the same results. It's terrible record, losing record, no improvement. So the past 2 years, we got Nico Hischier, we got Jack Hughes. Everyone expected Jack Hughes to come out here and just like help the Devils right away. It doesn't work like that. A lot of people have to understand that this guy's a rookie. He's literally 18 years old, 19 years old. He's my age. He's already playing in the professional NHL level. It was the same thing over there across the river with the Rangers, with Kako. Everyone expected him to be the bright star right away. Sometimes it takes time. You know what I mean? It doesn't always work like that. And for the situation with PK Subban, I definitely agree with you, Mulder. When we acquired PK, we expected him to be the best defenseman in the league. We wanted that MVP PK Subban, which we expected, and that's the contract we want. We gave him that contract. We expect him to play the way that he should be playing, and he gave us a really disappointing season. And he even said himself, he came out and made a statement saying how he knew that he put a disappointing season. So we're really expecting him to improve his game and be that MVP defenseman that he once was, I believe, when he was with the Nashville Predators. And listen, we're rebuilding. The Devils are a rebuilding team. It's simple as that. On paper, they're rebuilding, and they're a young team as well. Obviously, the Rangers are a younger team, of course, but the Devils are not that far as well. They're also a young team. I think they have the talent, they have the players. It's just really coming down to really team chemistry and everybody. I mean, they basically got everyone coming back, and also it really helped them in the draft when they traded Blake Coleman. What's his name? So, I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. Mulder, he went to Carolina.
Sammy Vatanen?
Yeah, Sammy Vatanen. Guys that we traded to Taylor Hall as well. When we traded Taylor Hall, we got draft picks out of that. We had, like, I believe, three first round picks that helped us in the draft. So that's gonna help us. Ty Smith, me and Mulder were talking about this in our show. A defenseman coming up from our farm system. So it's the Devils are rebuilding. It's gonna take probably 2 or 3 years max, and then it's not gonna help as well in this upcoming new alignment division where they're gonna play even tougher competition. So
I think the Devils they need to get some stability at the goalie situation. Hopefully Blackwood does work out. You know, you thought you had it with Schneider and he clearly didn't work out, but hopefully Blackwood, I mean, he looks solid enough so far, very young into his career, but that's.
yeah, I mean, right now it's looking like he's the answer as of right now. I mean, obviously, it's really hard to replace Martin Brodeur. Like, you don't just step in and replace Martin Brodeur. You know what I mean? And that's
the
big
biggest
situation.
problem.
Yeah,
because everybody compares them.
Yeah, and that was the big situation with our goalie with Mackenzie Blackwood, and it's so hard to replace that. You can't just go replace Martin Brodeur. Like, it's hard to live up to that legacy. It's not just something that you can do on a day and night basis.
Yeah. We're going to have to see how the Devils do. Maybe probably a down year for them. The last team in the area, New York Islanders. This is a team that probably going to have the best year out of the other two teams we just talked about. Josh, I'll go to you. Give me your expectations for them.
I think right now it comes down to what the hell is going on with Matthew Barzal. They still need to get his contract done. I know it's been a little tough. Right now, he's in New York, but he's not even at the training camp. He can't do anything until this contract is done. So if they can, which I know it's going to happen within the next couple of days, Barzal will resign. I think the Islanders are going to have a pretty good year again. I don't know if they're going to crack, per se, my top 3 in that division, but they'll probably be right on that brink there, like in that 4th spot, maybe 3rd. I think they have good offensive talent. They got a good coach. They have a great goalie combination that they can go back and forth with that I think are still going to take off this year. So for the Islanders, expect high expectations this year.
They were able to extend JGP, which was huge.
Exactly.
So
they have a solid team all around. I as much as I don't like the Islanders, I have to give credit where credit is due. And the Islanders, I think this year, again, probably within that 4th spot, maybe 3rd.
They really finessed the system getting Trotz. I mean, that was insane. And look what he's done to him. 2 deep playoff runs already.
Barry Trotz is a great coach. What can I say? Probably up there, one of the best.
And not only is he a great coach, but they're also able to basically bring back a similar roster. Really, It's really not much changes. Even last year's Islanders team, before the season started, when they went to the playoffs 2 years ago, they brought back basically the same roster, which led them to another great run in the playoffs as well. So, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they lost Brassard. I believe he left the Islanders, if I'm not mistaken.
He did.
He did leave the Islanders. Yeah. So I mean, I can see he was a center. Is it a loss? Yeah, of course. But like I said, similar roster still. Josh, you mentioned the Barzal contract has been going on. They really got to settle that down because he's really going to be a key player on that Islanders team for years to come. And the goal situation, well, I think the goal situation is really important for Islanders. I mean, in my true opinion, I don't think it matters who they put in the goal position. Whoever it was, they both really came out hot every night. I mean,
they're probably going to split again.
Yeah, they'll split again. Personally, I didn't even know Corey Schneider was on the Islanders. I just looked at the roster right now. I didn't even know he signed with them. But yeah, I mean, this Islanders team is definitely gonna probably do pretty solid in this really tough Eastern division. And will they make the playoffs? It really depends. Like I said, it's really tough. I think they'll be in the middle, like you said, Josh. Probably that 4th spot, battling for that final playoff spot in the division.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mulder.
Oh, I was gonna say that Islanders brought back probably most of their young core is still there. They have to figure out that Matthew Barzal situation, but they also have the great goaltending situation. They have depth in the defense that they can switch in and out, a young defense, and I think that's going to help them, especially when you have to play Boston 8 times, play the Rangers 8 times, who are going to run you up and down the ice all night.
Yeah, I mean, the Corey Schneider won't probably be on the starting roster. It's going to be Varlamov, and I know they have that young kid that people were always going back and forth. Is it Igor? So, or I forget the Islanders goalies right now off the top of my head. but he's like a
Sorokin?
really young what?
Sorokin or something like that.
I don't know if it's Sorokin or it's
I see.
another S.
I see Corey Schneider, Jakub Skarik, and Semyon Varlamov. That's the roster. The goalie.
I think
the
it's
goalies right now.
I want to say Skarik is the one, or maybe it's Sorokin. It's one of those two that the people were comparing to Igor. Back in.
Oh, they got Andy Green, Devils legend.
That was legend. He's probably one of the
He's
last.
still on the roster.
He's probably one of the last original Devils that was part of that 2012 run.
He needs to retire.
The division realignment is going to hurt a lot of teams, though, that, we're maybe trying to get into a playoff run a year early on the rebuild. But, again, everyone's got to play this. Don't hate the player at the game. So we're going to have to see how that one plays out. I want to go into now. I have the odds for it right here. MVP prediction. The Hart Memorial Trophy. Connor McDavid, currently the favorite at plus 460. But I'm going to go first, my prediction. And the guy second in the odds, I'm going to go with Nathan MacKinnon. Clearly shown that he is a top dog in this league. Can do it all, and he has really elevated Colorado into what could be a powerhouse this upcoming season. And I think with that success, it's going to be stemming off of him, and should have the MVP.
I definitely agree. McKinnon will probably be for the Hart Trophy. The only other person, without being biased, depending on how the Rangers do, if the Rangers go on a big run, Artemi Panarin will definitely be in the mix. Don't count out, of course, McDavid. But I think overall, Steven, I would have to agree with you. McKinnon is going to win the Hart.
Listen, I both like your picks. I believe McKinnon is a really good player, really beneficial impacts to Colorado Avalanche. But I'm going to go with Connor McDavid. I just, guy's just really powerful, really strong force on the ice. He's, let's say, beneficial as well for Islanders. He's impactful. He makes the team better. He creates playmaking, creates shots. The guy does it all. And listen, 64 games played, 34 goals, 63 assists, 97 points last season. That was before when COVID stopped everything. And his playoff run, like I say, he only played 4 games because he lost in the play-in games to the Chicago Blackhawks. 4 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists, 9 points. His stats, his numbers just stand for the type of player he is. And I think he's going to really give it. I know it's only 56 games, the short season still, but just look out for his stats. I think those stats are going to be really comparable to last season.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Nathan MacKinnon, and especially I think Nathan MacKinnon walks away with this if the Colorado Avalanche are going to do what they're expected to do and win their division and then go in and make a strong playoff run and make it to the finals and the Stanley Cup final. But I would also say don't sleep on someone like Leon Draisaitl or like you said, Josh Panarin. If they make that run, those are 2 people that are going to be the big names for their teams if they make the run into the playoffs.
Draisaitl won it last year, correct? Was he last year
MVP?
Yeah,
he won it last year.
So before we head off here, last question. This is the big one. Who wins the Stanley Cup?
Avalanche.
Okay, interesting.
Not hesitating on that one.
Wow, Mulder, I'm going to go with you. The Devils are an option here.
If the Devils won, I think I'd be a millionaire.
I got to see those. I got to see those odds.
It's got to be like plus 15,000 or something crazy like that. But while you look that up, I'm gonna go with the Avalanche, a young core. I think they found their team last year. They found themselves. They were able to work with it. You saw when they got into the bubble. You saw the chemistry that they started to build. I think that's gonna go through this division they're in and lead them into the playoffs. And I think they're gonna run away with the West. And I think you're gonna see them play probably someone like Tampa or Boston in the finals and win.
Yeah, I'm probably agree with you guys. Well, I'm going to Colorado Avalanche just because the way how the alignment in division was, it's really set for their favor. I mean, they like I said, they control their own destiny. Jason McKinnon, Tyson Joss, Lance Scott, those guys were really guys who helped that Avalanche team make that playoff run last year in that bubble. So, and if they played the same way they played in the regular season and also in that bubble, then they're gonna make a hell of a run. So, I'm kudos to that Colorado Avalanche.
Okay, Mulder, plus 6,000 on the Devils to win it.
Oh, I have I have plus 8,500 at the one I'm looking at.
From what site are you on? DraftKings?
I honestly typed it into Google and that was the first thing
I was on FanDuel. I'm going to go with, I think if all goes well with the Avalanche, but as much as I hate saying this, I think this is Boston's year. I think they have a real opportunity here to steal it. Josh, I know it hurts me too. Brad Marchand and Pastrnak are two of the top players in this game.
The only problem is Pasternak's hurt. He won't be back for a little bit.
Really?
Yep.
Yikes. Okay. But listen, Boston, a high chance they win their division, and they are just a powerhouse going forward. And they haven't won in a long time. They lost to the Blues, obviously. I think this is their year, as much as it hurts me to say. But again, we'll wait and see. A sleeper team for me, maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins. You can never kind of count them out. You have
I always like that team sleeper because I always wonder like who's going to be like a sleeper this year and this like with these division changes. It's hard to tell.
Be like the 2019 Blues kind of.
Well, like the thing about the Blues was like no one expected that to happen, and then so like that would be like a crazy sleeper team to predict. But with these division changes, it's kind of hard to tell who's a sleeper because how I look at it is this is a Wednesday night rivalry every day of the week.
Yeah.
You know, every time you're going to turn on your TV or on your laptop, if you go to some stream, you're going to see a rival matchup or a matchup, you know, that's been, you know, going to be hyped up about.
Got no Doc Emmerich this year on the NBC.
No, done.
Sad.
God bless him. Hope he has a happy retirement.
Who's replacing him?
I forget who is right now. Another big name.
Is it? Okay. Steve Mulder?
I would say sleeper team for me. To win the Stanley Cup?
Sure.
Carolina.
Okay. Got Mulders.
I don't know if I would say it's much of a sleeper. This is much of a sleeper team. I know they're going to be a good team this year and they're going to be a playoff team. But I would say a team that probably people are not leaving out unless you're from this state, Dallas Stars.
Okay.
That would be my answer with a good core, good young team. Got that great player in Heiskanen. I think that the Dallas Stars will probably, like I said, they won't win their division because the Lightning will take that division. But I think if the Dallas Stars can, they're going to get their way into the playoffs. And then I think people are just going to be like, oh, it's either Lightning, it's going to be the Avs, whoever. I don't think you can count the Stars out.
Monroy, got a team for us before we head out?
I guess maybe a sleeper team. Like I said, maybe they won't win the Stanley Cup, but as I said, I'm sticking with the Vancouver Canucks. I know we talked about this earlier that, yes, get them a couple of years or so, but I just really like the young core they have. And I know the Canadian division is going to be really tough. Like I said, the Canadian teams always play tough. It doesn't matter what their record is. It's just physical, straight hockey over there in Canada. But I think they have the best shot to probably make it out of there. Because it's 3 teams, I believe, right? The top 3 teams go to the playoffs in each division.
4. I think they changed it to 4 this year.
So, I think, based off the other Canadian teams, the way how they've been, the way their roster is and the way how they're preparing, I think Vancouver is going to be pretty solid. I think they'll probably get that 4th or 3rd spot. Like I said, I really like their young core. I think Quinn Hughes and Elias Patterson is definitely going to be a really big statement for that Vancouver Canucks team.
Season starts 7 days from the current moment. It's currently Wednesday, January 6th. Not sure when this is going to be uploaded. Devils open up on the 14th against the Bruins. Rangers, a little crosstown rivalry with the Islanders there on the 14th as well. But listen, can't thank you guys enough for coming out. We're going to be doing this hockey pod, a little update every couple of weeks just to see how the season's going along. Josh, Monroy, Mulder, thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to follow all our socials